in the raw. I just got cut off. I don't know why. I don't know. I didn't see any sign, but these things happen at times. Now, so President Ali is a truly people's person, and he has a skill to go to the grassroots and to motivate and encourage and to bring out the love and the humanity in peoples, and to listen to them and to fix things, and also to run the country and the government and to chair cabinet, recognized around the world. And then the VP has his skill set. He is good in oil and gas. Don't underestimate our president, Dr. Irfaan Ali, but VP is really good in that. And in such things, in certain industries and so on, and then being the PPP General Secretary, he's the boss of the party. And the party is big and powerful. So they each have their own skill set and ability, and together they work many times for hours late into the night, according to my information and understanding. Now, President Ali says, and he points to APNU and AFC left LEGUAN to fend for itself, President Ali says. Points to over $7 billion investment made by PPPC and the government to revive the island. There are some pictures with people, with students listening and addressing the people and just sharing some love and joy. Now, in a recent address to the residents of LEGUAN, President Dr. Irfaan Ali went on to a diatribe, a list of reality points to discuss, points he raised, diatribe. Against the previous Partnership for National Unity and Alliance for Change, APNU and AFC administration, accusing them of leaving the island to fend for itself during their time in office. But the reality is that the APNU and the AFC, remember the PNCR has always been my friend, but the APNU and the AFC have really messed up this nation and the peoples with it. They promised the rice farmers, I can't remember the exact amount, so much per bag of paddy. So much. I can't remember. You know better than me probably, because I do so much, I can't just remember. But when they won the election, they dumped the people and turned around. The president, if I'm right, I think so, yes, turned around and said that rice farming is a people's private business and the government has no right to get into it. President Granger, how you can make these kinds of promises to people and you don't keep it, and then you let the people down? How do you expect to win the election? The AFC has been the greatest traitor, to my opinion, on the Ramjatan and Trotman of the rice farmers, the sugar workers. And this is why you see Dominique Gaskin, a former AFC strongman and son-in-law of former President David Arthur Granger, said they will only get about 5 seats. And I think he's been very charitable, because Ramjatan and the other leaders of the AFC betrayed the people. They were not supposed to have a coalition ever, ladies and gentlemen. So much. You know, I'm a businessman. I'm here in my office, handling and doing so many things, but at the same time, trying to get this message and this point out. All right, to you all, on this very important topic about the APNU and AFC left LEGUAN to fend for itself. They did the same everywhere, even in Linden. That is why Mr. Granger at one time, President Granger, when he was president, was actually run out of Linden. And there again, another disturbance, and in the raw, it is a really raw. It's rawer than raw. So what happened, the coalition, why they can't do what they did in the beginning, in particularly, I'm talking about the AFC, why they won't get 5 seats, maybe less, because they betrayed the people. The AFC betrayed the people. They promised on its inauguration. You know, I was invited and I never went because I didn't trust them. I normally go because I like a little bit of free food. I normally go to these cocktails and so on because I like the free food. Meet some nice people and so on. But they promised never to have a coalition with any party. Not the PPP, not the PNC. And they tried to beg, tag along with the PPPC, but the PPPC was damaged goods. You know, like in the raw, it's good information, but when you have raw meat, you know, what could happen to it? And so they sold their soul. And they sold the souls of the people to the PNC. And then they called themselves APNU, but they wanted to maintain their identity. Right? But the betrayal was committed, the damage done, my beloved divine friends and families. The damage was done. And then, going along, they had to tag along and to become a kind of a stooge of football, not even football, a football without air. The AFC became a football without air, that you could kick it around. You know, and they did such degradation, the PNC, with their power, you know. In Linden, their arrangement was that they will have the APNU chairman, then you had an AFC deputy or vice chair, and the Norton put both as PNC, and he, Ramchatan, could do nothing. It was a moment of great shame for Mr. Ramchatan, I call him Ramchatan, Mr., and for the AFC. And then betrayed the people in the quarantine as soon as they took power. And the whole country, they joined with the PNCR, the APNU, to take away the We Care cash grant, ladies and gentlemen. They took it away. They stole it to give themselves salary increases. Those parties. And then in the quarantine, they knew they were going to close the sugar estates. Overnight, you hear the estates are closed and lives demolished, people commit suicide, office staff and everyone went down. Some people had to do bad things to survive. Some became thieves to survive. They did not prepare the people. They did not teach the people. They did not give them lands. A few days before the election, President Ranger is saying the people in the quarantine, the sugar workers, will be given lands if they win the election. Too little, too late. So, Wakinam was left on its own. Hog Island was left on its own. Bartica got some help, but still Bartica eventually had to abandon them because they tell so much lies. Quarantine was left on its own to fend for themselves. Let me go back to this article, ladies and gentlemen. What? Oh, I now remember. It was $9,000 at that time they promised per bag of paddy. And when they took power, that's the APNU and the AFC, when they took power, they said it's your private business, we cannot interfere with it. This you want for government? And with a man like Norton as the leader, you would want to lead a government? These people who play games, these people who are not mature enough, they're not even a Granger, they're not a Desmond Hoyt. I'm sorry, names I'm not remembering. You know, do you want these kind of people to be your government? I know some people will go for them because many people are like masochists. A masochist is someone who enjoy pain. And the APNU AFC are like sadists. They enjoy giving the people pain. Soon as they took power, ladies and gentlemen, they took away your cash grant for each child. It was 10,000. And when the PPPC government took power, they immediately made it, what? 30 and then 40,000. And it's going to go up again, I think, in the new budget. What more do you want? Yes, now that they're in the opposition, they're going to 400,000 tax-free salaries and so on. All kind of nonsense they're going to tell you. And they have never kept a single one of their promises in the manifesto. Going back to the article. He contrasted their neglectful approach with his government signifying. He contrasted their neglectful approach with his government, signifying investment in the island, particularly agricultural potential and crucial infrastructure such as sea defense and roads. Speaking candidly to a gathering of LEGUAN residents, President Ali reflected on the state of the island before his government assumed office, describing the situation as dire, terrible, horrific, deadly, dead. He said that the previous administration had all the resources but abandoned LEGUAN, failing to recognize its value or invest in the well-being of its residents, according to the president. This neglect left the island in a vulnerable state, particularly the deteriorating sea defense. It is not long ago in our history that this island was left where investment was completely halted because the thinking of the government then was that the island and the population were not worth investing in. The same thing for the quarantine. You know why? You should know why. You should know why. When they wanted to put up the University of Guyana in the quarantine, the PNC objected strenuously. They did not want a university in the quarantine. And some of you will go around now and vote for these people. I'm not talking about the party that Mr. Hoyt had led. There was a different soul, a different human being altogether. Friends and families, ladies and gentlemen. So that is the reality. They halted the investment just like they wanted to do in the quarantine. You want to build roads in the quarantine, they have a problem. You want to build a highway in the quarantine, they have a problem. You want to build a technical school or a college, they have a problem. And I can imagine with Norton there, even worse. Look, I'll tell you something. AFC. I personally very much appreciate and respect Mr. Nigel Hughes. But Mr. Nigel Hughes has an elegant personality, speechcraft, people, and listens to people. But to my opinion, the AFC will only damage him. But the AFC is damaged goods. To my opinion, if Nigel Hughes had started his own political party, he would have done better. He would have taken from the AFC and he would have taken largely from the PNC. That's my viewpoint. Where investment was completely halted because the thinking of the government then was that the island and the population was not worth investing in, the president said, recalling the approach of the previous government so the sea could eventually take the island. That is not a fairy tale story. That is reality. He's telling them, if the PPPC government had not won the election and taken that sea, the whole island would have been wiped off with salt water. President Ali emphasized that the neglect of the LEGUAN sea defense was symptomatic of a broader disinterest in the island's fate, particularly in its agricultural potential, and we would have suffered. The APNU and AFC administration, he argued, failed to understand the importance of the land and the livelihoods tied to it. No investment because there was no thinking of what the soil means to us, what agricultural means to us. The island was left on its own for self-existence. 4 years ago, you were struggling. The Because We Care Cash Grant, I spoke about that in my take, ladies and gentlemen. Taken away, the farms were left abandoned. The drainage irrigation system was completely overgrown, he lamented. In stark contrast to the period of neglect, President Ali underscored the transformative efforts his government has made since coming into power, highlighting the billions of dollars that have been invested in LEGUAN over the last 4 years. He emphasized that these investments amounting to $7 billion were not just about infrastructure, that this means seawall and roads and dams, but about securing the island's future and empowering the residents. Over the last 4 years alone, we have invested more than $7 billion on this island. For each one of the residents on this island, we have invested almost $4 million that has secured the island through sea defense. Like each citizen of LEGUAN got about $4 million, not cash that many people would like, but in development. Sea defense, giving you a better quality of life through your roads, giving you a better quality of life through your lands and your homes, securing your agricultural output, creating an environment for drainage and irrigation so that you can have greater production and yield. President Ali announced, prompting applause from the people. As the government continues its effort to modernize Guyana, the Guyanese leaders said that the government has a carefully articulated vision and mission for LEGUAN. Don't be surprised one day a road linking LEGUAN or a bridge will be constructed by this government. My dream and my vision. When we say that we are bringing prosperity to every home, it is about this investment that creates an equal system that helps in every aspect of life. This is much for us to be thankful for. There is much for us to celebrate. He speaks like a poet and like a singer, this President, Excellency Dr. Irfaan Ali. He concluded his address by reaffirming his government's commitment to LEGUAN and its people. He stressed that the investments made over the past 4 years are just the beginning, and I would say tip of the iceberg, and that his administration will continue to support the island's development in years to come. Thank you, Excellency President Dr. Irfaan Ali, the boss, the elegant, the giant, the simple, humble human being. Your friend, your brother, me, Haji Dr. Ocean, can appeal to you to think and to realize and to support the government that is good for the country, not people who will make false promises, ladies and gentlemen. I recall the party with the son, what was it? Peter Nagar party, when my friend Mansour Nadir became the leader, and he promised everybody in the country a duty-free car. I think something like that, or everybody in UG, a student, a duty-free car. And that is the thing about politics, my beloved divine friends, family, brothers and sisters, in the raw. Haji Dr. Ocean can say thank you. Farewell.